I'm in downtown Atlanta. There's a 5 Points up station over there, underground Atlanta. And look right here. Look right here. No wheelchair ramps. What the hell's going on? Uh, I think that's a state building. I don't know who's getting in the helicopter. Weird. I've never seen one land up there. People do not know how to drive in Atlanta. 2 signs, run over. That's ridiculous. Why are these things here blocking up the walkway? Right in front of the wheelchair access. Idiots! Stop blocking up the walkway to the trash. That's how you deal with stupid idiots That's how I deal with them. Yeah, disabled people need to be able to use these walkways without having those scooters blocking our paths. Those things shouldn't be over there either. Blocking up another walkway with that shit. The landscape is gonna change.
Got nothing against the big town. Still hayseed enough to say, look who's in the big town. But my bed is in a small town. Oh, that's good enough for me.
Selling little bottles of love potion number 9. I told her that I was a flop with chicks. I've been this way since 1956. She looked at my palm and she made a magic sign. She said, what you need is love potion number 9. She bent down and turned around and gave me a wink. She said, I'm gonna mix it up right here in the sink. It smelled like turpentine and looked like India ink. I held my nose, I closed my eyes.
I took a drink.
I didn't know it was a day or night. I started kissing everything in sight. But when I kissed the cop at 34th and Vine, he broke my little bottle of love potion number 9.
Yeah. all these lime scooters blocking the sidewalk. That's Claiborne, North Island Avenue. Freedom Parkway.
Being mutilated, and it's just ridiculous out here. Some people, they act like they don't just turn their ear to what's really going on. But I thank God that this is a station that can really open people's eyes up to what's really happening now. This is my favorite station, CTA.
Glendale and Atlanta.
In Riverdale, where officers heard multiple gunshots come from inside the vehicle. Investigators say a minor sitting in the passenger seat was shot multiple times. She passed away. Edwards, who police say was the girl's father, also shot himself and died from his injuries. And we are asking investigators more details about that initial investigation going on in Henry County that sparked this case. They say it's still in the early stages, but as soon as we learn more, we'll update you here on the air and online as well. That's the latest from Clayton County. I'm Lindsay Tuman for Good Day Atlanta. The time now, 8:38.
Look, I'm not going anywhere.
The oldest sitting senators are Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Grassley at 89 years old. Grassley just won re-election and will be well into his 90s before the end of his next 6-year term. On the other side, at just 25 years old, the minimum age the Constitution allows, the first member of Gen Z, Florida Congressman-elect Maxwell Frost, will be sworn in January. Younger lawmakers historically have fewer positions of power and a harder time staying in office.
It's especially hard to take on an incumbent. When you're a first-termer, that's when you're most vulnerable.
And it's not just Congress. When it comes to the Oval Office, President Biden just celebrated his 80th birthday, and currently the only declared 2024 candidate, former President Trump, would be 78 years old at the next inauguration.
And polls do show that most people do not want a rematch of Biden versus Trump in 2024. So that's one to watch. I do think that there is some yearning for younger leadership.
President Biden has said he will assess his 2024 plans over the holidays, calling it a family decision. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
As 31-year-old Walmart manager Andre Bing, police have obtained a search warrant to the suspect's home and have cleared the house. The store will be closed down for a few days while the investigation continues. So far, there is no word about a possible motive.
You come out to children. I know the founder said they talk about science and reason, but you can talk about science and reason in the classroom.
He cites abortion and cross-sex procedures as examples. The Satanic Temple's co-founder said that the club's goal is to teach critical thinking in science, but not actually Satanism. He told NTD in a statement that they include Satan in the name because they don't need to conceal that the Satanic Temple is behind the club, similar to how Catholic hospitals have biblical names without demanding conversion from their patients.
I do believe that all children would benefit from exposure to the Bible, from exposure to Christian teaching.
The co-founder of the Satanic Temple says the focus of the Christian clubs is indoctrinating children into a viewpoint of biblical fundamentalism, adding, some people are eager to beat that type of traumatic superstition into their children's heads. Squires says there is value in biblical teachings. Reporting by Arian Pastar, NTD News.
911. His parents, along with his 7-month-old brother Maddox, all made it out safely.
He just knew something wasn't right, so he was just really smart and quick to think and to wake us up. So that's where I'm impressed.
Tell your parents and get out of the house quickly.
Firefighters believe water seeped into an outdoor electrical outlet. The White County Fire Department will honor Keegan's actions tomorrow in a special ceremony.
Oh, well deserved. Well, state lawmakers
had some of their accounts shut down in various media, and many people said that might have made a difference. So I think these are very powerful companies, and I think they have a public interest in fostering free speech and open debate, and they should think of themselves in that way. I think Elon Musk and I hope Twitter,
Further went on to say, we want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post are genuine or not, just that our experience makes us deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in this case. Business dealings. wow, we went from it wasn't his laptop and it was Russian disinformation to, oh, whatever was in there didn't affect the president's business dealings, even though he was involved, even though the laptop was real, even though it wasn't disinformation. That's how far we've come. So I think I think there are all kinds of questions that need to be answered, and we're determined to get there. Here's some of them that I have. Did the FBI brief Twitter as well? We know they briefed Facebook. We know that had an impact on the election. There's been surveys done where thousands and thousands of voters across this country said they might have impacted their decision in the election in 2020. Did the FBI brief any of the 51 former intelligence officials who signed that letter? Again, that letter that became the pretext for suppressing the story. Who did the briefings? Who briefed Facebook? Here's a name that I think is interesting. Timothy Tebow. So Mr. Tebow, now remember, we just did a report 2 weeks ago, Judiciary Committee, a report that talked about the political influence and the political shenanigans going on in our Justice Department, based on 14 FBI agents who come talk to our office as whistleblowers. One of those agents said, and this is the term he used, he said, at the highest levels of the FBI, specifically the Washington field office, he said it's rotted to the core. Not talking about rank and file agents. They're doing good work. Talking about the top people at the Washington field office. We had another whistleblower who brought up the name Mr. Tebow and said Mr. Tebow is pressuring agents to catalog and categorize cases in a specific way to satisfy this narrative about domestic violence extremism. But what's interesting is a different whistleblower, one who didn't come to our office, a different whistleblower who went to Senator Grassley's office, said that Mr. Tebow, by the way, the head of the special agent in charge at the Washington field office, Mr. Tebow is also the guy who suppressed information about the Hunter Biden story in October of 2020. I'd like to talk to Mr. Tebow. In fact, we've asked to talk to Mr. Tebow, even though he said publicly, I welcome a chance to answer questions. He's refused to come in and talk to us. That's someone we need to talk to. Why has the Biden administration suddenly changed their position on suspicious activity reports? Used to be, Mr. Comer wanted to see him. Any member of Congress, any chairman wanted to see him, any ranking member wanted to see him, any member of Congress, any committee, you got a chance to see him. Suddenly, no, we can't see him. I think Mr. Comer and our team at the Oversight Committee would kind of like to see the other 148. They've seen two. They'd like to see the other 148. So we're committed to getting to the truth, the facts. We think that's what the American people are entitled to. We're gonna try to help Representative Comer and the team here at Oversight with our work on judiciary, but with a specific focus on what the FBI was doing. We know these 51 former intel officials, they got security clearance. How often are they talking to the FBI? Are they talking to the FBI? Who's doing the talking? Who's doing the briefing? Where they brief? There's so many questions that need answers so we can get to the bottom of this. And the final thing I would say is this. A colleague of mine said this in a committee hearing a few weeks ago, Mr. Gates. He said, when is the FBI with the Mueller investigation? 2020, they suppressed information about the Hunter Biden story. In 2022, they raided the president's home 91 days before the election. Maybe it'd be nice if the FBI and the Justice Department just stayed out of it and let we the people decide who we think should represent us, who we think should lead us. That's supposed to be how America works. So this is the focus on the Judiciary Committee, the political nature of the Justice Department, and the linkage now to what was happening with the Hunter Biden story. Again, just 15 days before we have a presidential election.
I am Larry Elder. This has been the Larry Elder Show for Epoch Times. Remember, we've got a country to save.
Was allowed to take effect shortly after the Supreme Court overturned Roe in June. California's election laws are under fire. Congressional candidates in 13 counties across the state have brought an election integrity case to court, and now the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled the case as standing. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the story.
The Election Integrity Project California, or EIPCA, in 13 counties alleged that the state has weakened or removed integrity from the election process. They cite California's system of vote-by-mail ballots, ballot harvesting, reduced voting facilities for in-person voting, and the extended time allowed to count votes. The organization says these practices water down the value of lawfully cast ballots. The lawsuit is against California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, Governor Gavin Newsom, and Attorney General Rob Bonta, as well as the registrars of voters in the 13 counties including Los Angeles, Orange, and Riverside. The U.S. Constitution gives state legislators the authority to manage elections and process ballots. But the Federal Appeals Court ruled that the case can move forward, meaning California's practices may be violating the Constitution in other ways. The suit alleges that over the last decade, California has passed laws and regulations that have led to massive irregularities. It states that this culminated in the 2020 election when Governor Newsom authorized mailing a ballot to all active registrants on the voter rolls, and signature verification requirements were also gutted. EIPCA received over 700 affidavits signed from trained observers. They consistently reported election workers not adequately verifying signatures and in some cases counting ballots without signatures. In the next step, both sides will share information with each other to prepare for trial, and the plaintiffs can look into the scope of the irregularities. That means they can ask questions and actually audit the counties and the ballots. If the case is successful, California will be required to enforce secure and uniform vote casting and vote counting procedures. It could also set a precedent for legal challenges in other states. EIPCA states the case is not a partisan issue, but a constitutional one that has affected many candidates in more than one election. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.